Kids that show me beats and shit now, it's crazy. Like they'll be like, yo, check this out. And I'm like, what? Like actually my niece too, she just started like using one of those iPad. iPad's only like $100. Like, you know, and then you just hook everything up to your shit and then you never have to reach behind or ever again. Like change the, change the endpoints and shit. So that's pretty much how you chop. Super, so you have this. So this is all pitched down. Oh, and here's how you pitch shit down with these buttons. I don't know if anyone's ever like showed you this trick with a side. I use like Omnisphere for like bass shit a lot.
I have a question about bass lines, man. Like, how natural is that to you, or like, how much did you have to really study good bass lines?
That's great. That's a good question, cause like when I first started doing beats, like 2002, my buddy was like super sick on it, and then I couldn't hear it yet. Mm-hmm. And so all of my bass lines would be out of key.
Yeah.
And then like he would just be like, yo, you can't hear that? That is off? And I'd be like, oh shit, it is. Or I was just kind of like pressing on the keyboard and shit. And like just, I thought it was off, but it'd be like a semitone off and shit. Yeah. And then what I started doing is just like listening to more shit, because I had listened to so much. I guess the problem that I ran into was I was using these bass samples from like various little kits and packs, and then I was sampling shit by like speeding up the record at 45, and then it would always be sharp or flat once I got it inside of FL Studio, because I started on like a cracked version of FL. And then he had pointed out to me, he's like, yo, the problem is that it's not that you can't hear it, it's that you're starting off with like sounds that are fucking like out of tune anyway. Mm-hmm. So then I was forever like, spinning my wheels. So then once I like actually understood like, yo, you gotta capture a sample that's already like a solid, like a C or a C sharp or something. The bass has always been like my favorite like part of a track, bass line and shit. And then I started like fucking around with bass guitar too, and then that helped out a lot. Yeah. Why is like something that you like?
It's like my favorite part of a track, obviously, and it's also to me the most difficult thing to write.
Or the bass line?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's funny because I just play everything by ear too. Like if you ask me like what key I'm in, like I don't have any idea. Like while I'm working on shit. Like that's why it's always interesting when I collab with people. Like some of my homies that are more like that understand like theory way more than I do. They're like, yo, what key is this in? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. They're like, how do you not know? Because everything works, and I'm just like, I just know what's off or on. You know what I mean?
So you kind of just play by ear, like.
Oh, definitely. I've been studying theory more and more just so I can like know the rules to break them. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's good that you started with your ear first, because like my boy like started just studying music theory, so he like really just stays with it.
Dude, I have another homie that's just like that. So like I had to break him out of that because he's super dope keyboard player, but all of his bass lines, like he had to get away from the idea that like, okay, as long as you're in the same scale, like you don't like if you're playing a C chord, you don't have to be a fucking C bass note. Like it could be any other bass note that's in that scale, and you can work with it. So everything with him would be like super like on the grid locked in, and I'm like, bro, like, and especially he would try to make like bouncy house with me and shit. I'm like, bro, that shit's not gonna work. Like you gotta fucking break the rules. Like there's shit you gotta do. So I was on tour on the selection tour, and then a couple like fans that come up to me and they're like, yo man, we want to hear more of your music. And one of the comments was like, anybody could DJ, but we want to hear more of your beats. And I was like, nah, dude. I was like, fuck that shit. I was like, cut that shit out. So I went out. I was like frustrated. No, I was venting just on my Twitter bullshit, and I remember saying like, I said like, yo, like being a dope producer doesn't make you a dope DJ, and I said being a dope DJ doesn't make you a dope producer. Like they're two fucking separate. Yeah. It's two separate. And yeah, there's overlap, of course, like in my opinion, but like, there's a lot of cats out there that are like, they think just because they're dope producers that like they have a fucking right to fucking be DJing. It's like, nah, like I don't fuck with that mindset, like.
I think it's like what they know too, because like they can say like, oh, anyone could be a good DJ, but I don't think they've been exposed.
They haven't
to good DJs yet.
They've
That's
only
why they think that.
Right. They've only come up with like people that are just like them that DJ as a means to play their music, but they're not really DJing because they're fucking
DJ culture heads like, oh, no, there's rules of this shit, you know, just like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, like a lot of the new guys, like, they don't understand, like, yo, if someone's on the same lineup that's also a producer, like, you shouldn't play their shit that night. Like, it's just kind of like, just little, like, basic shit that we don't think about. I'm just like, come on, man, you know, like, I don't know. So.
They think it's okay, though, because it's, like, shouting you out or whatever?
Yeah. They don't think it's disrespectful. They just think it's showing love, but, like, they just haven't, like, they never came up in, like, that era where, like, yo, you get booed for that shit. Like,
yeah, or, like, yo, I was about to play it. Or, you know, like,
remember I told you, I was like, yo, you can't steal the magician's magic trick. Like, if I got my own remix, like, don't play my shit if I'm on the same bill as you that night. Like, let me play it, because that's my fucking hat. Like, you know, that's my rabbit in the hat that I want to bust out. You know what I mean? It's a whole other culture. Like, they don't understand, like, just the history of it. Like, the shit that you came from, like, Daly City. Like, all, like, the history of, like, SF. Like, they don't have any, like, understanding of that shit. Like,
well, it's been quiet, like, for the past, like, however many years, and I feel like just lately it's
been like a resurgence. Yeah, and I noticed that too, even like down here.
Poppy in the Bay, like the radio stations got taken over by pop music.
I mean,
well,
just the
top 40s.
And like it's like I feel like I also think too, like a lot of producers from like back east or like the Midwest, where like DJ culture's not heavy, but like if you're from Cali, and you were born like past 95, like you experienced like some raw ass shit, like turn on the like you guys had up there, but down here I could turn on the radio and hear fucking melody just going insane. Like a lot of people didn't grow up with that shit, so like I feel like a lot of people that are coming up now, the younger guys, they didn't have that perspective. We're like, yo, even though it may be like 5 o'clock traffic jam with some like jiggy ass shit, melody was still fucking like getting fucking down.
Yeah, out here, dude. Like every time we be out here. Like, I was just like, holy shit, it's just on the radio.
It's on the radio. Yeah, it's on the radio. It's just crazy. Or even just like on power. You like DJ Ever, just fucking going crazy for like a minute straight. Like, just cutting crazy as shit. Just like beats. Like, yo, these cats can like win like scratch battle if they wanted to. Straight up. And like I feel like a lot of the younger generation, because especially now, because no one fucks with the radio. That's another reason. They never came up even hearing like, yo, this is a dope ass like mix. You know, like we hear like sick ass mixes on the way home in traffic. Just like people just dropping fire ass shit. That's one thing I always say. Like, I feel like you don't have to be like you don't have to be like on some scratch head shit to be like a good DJ. Like if you're reading the crowd, your transitions are on point. That's what I like to hear. Like, you know what I mean? Like. But there's like cats that just don't even do that. It's just like, yo, like you're on the fucking bill and you're getting paid this much money, and like that transition was just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, come on, like, and they just think it's okay. You know, it's trippy because it's been like tough for me too, because I like so much of the new music from like the new generation, but it's just like this clash of like the DJ aesthetic is like this is not there. But then the downside of that is like when I do hang around like some of my older friends like my age, like late 30s, like early 40s and shit, the like all the fundamentals are there, but they're still fucking playing the same shit from like like, bro, when's the last time you updated your music? Like, what the fuck? You know, like playing shit that I'm like, yo, you're playing the same shit we were playing in like 2008. Like, come on, like, so it's like it's a give and take. It's like, that's one thing I like about the younger crowds is like, even though like the technicality's not there, they're still like they're super open minded with like the sound. Like, wait, so that's the upside of it, and that's why I'm grateful that like I feel like I can like navigate through like both worlds and shit. You know,
for sure. I was telling her that too. Like, you and me are lucky because like we get both sides of it.
Word.
We kind of like mix it together.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're fucking lucky, I think.
No, definitely. I'm super grateful to be like at our age, because like I it's funny, like I have these guys that are like in the club now and they call me like OG, and I'm just like, nah, bro, what the fuck? Like I call Red like OG. When I see Red, that's like my OG. I'm like, I'm not an OG, bro. Like, don't call me that shit. But it's just you are in this middle pocket of like like there's guys under you and there's guys that are older than you that are still doing it, so you can take like both ends, you know? I'll play fucking house music. I'll play like if I have like an hour set, I usually structure like I'll play 20 minutes of like house upbeat shit, then I'll play like 90s, 2000s R&B, and then I go into like trap, like heavy ass bass shit, and like everyone just goes nuts, and like everyone fucks with every part of it, and I like that. Whereas like sometimes if I play like the little like LA parties, sometimes still depending on like the older heads, like you start going a little too left field, and they're like, bring it back, you know, you gotta fucking stick with the throwback shit. I was just looking at this. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that shit. That's like early 2000s, like Ricky Rucker, like fucking D Styles. Oh yeah, it's dope. That's the language tour, like that whole like, you know, the music. That's like I feel like when the musicianship was like coming up, like really.
That's when cats were like first start fucking with like the like ultra pitch records and shit like that. You know, like big negative 50 and just like on some like super geeky shit. Like I don't know, like. I don't even know if I have any ultra pitch records in here. All of it.
Subculture shit, you know, like all the other kids thought that the kids that were in the boom bap were fucking weird because they listened to music that wasn't on the radio, blah blah blah. So it was weird. Like we had this union of like hip hop heads and like ravers who like kicked it together and like traded music and shit. So here I am, fucking. You can't tell me nothing about hip hop. I'm like hip hop to the core. Fuck every other type of music. Just like super cocky fucking ninth grader. You know what I mean? Like and all of a sudden I'm like. Yo, this shit's crazy. Like, what the fuck is this shit? You know, I just got super into like rave culture.
Yeah.
And then my dad's actually ahead still. My dad, he's 49 this, my dad's 59 this year. So, little story about my dad, like, take a little tangent. Like, I have my dad's original S950. Like, my dad has like beats and shit. My dad actually had like samplers and shit when I was growing up. So I grew up watching my dad like chop records and shit like that. Because he's like first generation hip hop. So when I was a kid, my dad was banging like Boogie Down Productions, like shit like that, KRS-One. So my dad would drop, I don't know how he fucking did it, but I convinced my dad to like drop us off at raves in the 90s and pick us up. So my dad would drop us off at like 7 p.m. at like Masterdome and like fucking the Orange Show right here in San Bernardino. And he'd be like, what time do I need to pick you guys up? And we'd be like, yo, like, can you pick us up at like 3 a.m.? And he was like, what the fuck? You know, I'm like, yeah, pick us up. He was like, all right. My dad was like, yo, like, I'm dropping you guys off sober. Get back in the car sober. Like, that's all he would tell us. Cause he knew, my dad knew what was up. He was just like, I can't stop it, but just promise me, especially like to the kids that, you know, my friends, he's like, yo, your parents trust me, get back in the car sober. And we always did. Like, we would get fucked up and like, we always would stop. Like, yo, my dad's picking us up in like 2 hours, stop. You know what I mean? Like, we respected it. It was like, stop. And we would get back in the car, cool. Like, it was crazy. So I just started going to more raves and eventually I got my own license I could take myself. And like, my dad, like, he was cool with it because like, my dad understood like house music and all that shit too. So that's how I got like really into like electronic music at the same time. Like I have like mad like drum and bass records and shit in here too, man. Like from like the 90s I used to, do you remember, I don't know if you ever heard of a place, it was big down here in OC called like Dr. Free Clouds. There's a record store in Orange County where they used to import like a lot of like shit from Britain like way back in the 90s. Like you know, you couldn't get that shit mail order yet. So I used to buy like a shitload of like drum and bass records. Like way back, like a bunch of old shit.
Matter of fact, I bought this at a rave. Like just let me play it. Like a lot of like ragged jungle and stuff like that. So then once I got into that led to like being into like house music and everything else. So that's why I've always been like kind of like I call it like dual sport, like into like multiple things, you know. So this is like it's so cheesy now, but back then it was just like so like groundbreaking to do. Like that. Yo, this was made here like originally too. Like you know, at first I thought it was only some European shit. Then I started learning like the history of like techno and house and how it was made by like you know black and brown people in the city. Because it was funny because all the kids in the 90s were like, I still like pushed around on the skateboard. Like I got made fun of for wearing like Vans and all that shit. And now I'm into electronic music. They don't even know that electronic music was like made in the hood.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm getting dissed even more for it, but it just like made me even more of like a little hermit and just keep to myself and just collecting music and shit, you know, like just being into like electronic shit. So I got super into house music. I just bought this shit last week. Have you heard of Intro Beats?
No, let me hear it.
Oh, bro, like this is my favorite house producer right here, bro. You gotta check this shit out, man. He's from Iceland. Whereas with house music, there's so much house music that people know that they're gonna hear some shit that they haven't heard before. Yeah. And they still just boogie. They want to hear new shit. Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of like that in like Europe too. Like you go out and play at certain events in Europe, and people are more like they're way more open-minded to like, oh, I haven't heard this before, but it's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Whereas LA, like, I can't dance to this shit. I haven't heard it before. I'm fucking cool. You know, like, I don't like that shit. Right, no, it's the same shit. It's like, it's no different. It's like chopped up a piano, fucking dope drums, dope bass line. It's like, it's like, I always tell people, like, the house music I listen to is like house music that I feel any hip hop head can appreciate. Unless they don't have a set way. But I kind of like don't even like relying on something like the swing values and Ableton just because like, I feel like I just get a better result like moving shit exactly where I want to because you have like infinite resolution. So I mean, but that's just my way. Like I don't know if that's like the gospel or whatever, but you know, it's just a different approach to it. Yeah, I don't really like even quantize shit. I'll get in there and quantize like stuff that has to like fall on the down, but like everything else, I just kind of like play and slide stuff around. Chopping up sound. Sometimes, bro, is like I don't use a lot of swing too because sometimes I don't know why I just use fucking audio clips and I don't even use MIDI.
Yeah.
So and I don't know, I don't have a rhyme or reason to it. I'll just literally be like, this track I'm gonna use MIDI, and it's like, and other tracks I'll be like, I'm gonna drag audio clips in. So like this track specifically just has straight up audio clips in there, just like the little ghost notes like these and shit. They sound like totally just weird by themselves, you know, but they have like depth and shit. All I do is take the start of it and just chop it up a little bit. Like a kind of like a mashup in a way because I just took the topic she was talking about and it just kind of reminded me of like Kev Brown always, where he's complaining about a female and then she's complaining about a dude. So I was like, yeah.
Lot of drama we go through. Always got to be something.
You know, like that shit. So it's work.
Lot of drama we go through. Always got to be something.
It should be dope with some scratching on it.
I did. I cut on it. So that part right there is not even. I chopped up her saying like, why you talking to me, all this shit. I chopped it up in here, and then I like did like a question and answer on the next bar with Kev Brown. I'm always just like messing with weird shit because like I've kind of gotten into the habit of just kind of understanding that like even sometimes like a sound may sound cheesy like by itself like in the mix and like sounds dope. Just like that guitar is like super goofy by itself. It's literally just a pluck like. Actually, that's not MIDI anymore. I'm tripping. Yeah, but that shit just sounds super cheesy by itself, you know. But like, just running through like guitar, yeah, it works on top of everything else. So.
That's dope. I haven't done that in years.
Me either.
Fucking scratching their shit.